President Lomax, it is 7:30. We now have, believe all of your members online, and we are recording and we are live. So whenever you're ready.
Thank you very much. Good evening and welcome to the special Board of Education meeting for Sunday, March 28th, 2021. If you will all rise, I will share my screen and we will say the Pledge of Allegiance together. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Ms. Dom, if you'll take the roll, please.
Absolutely, I'd be happy to. President Vilma Lomax.
Here.
Thank you. Vice President Matt Alvarez.
Present virtually.
Trustee Sabrina Rodriguez.
Here.
Trustee Amy Callahan.
Here.
Trustee Dr. Jerry Dannenberg.
Here.
And Superintendent Dr. Roger Rice.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we need to adopt the agenda. Are there any corrections or changes? If there are none, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Move to approve. Second.
Good luck, Amy, figuring out who did that.
Thank you. Vote as follows. Trustee Dannenberg.
Yes.
Trustee Callahan.
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez.
Yes.
Trustee Alvarez.
Yes.
And Trustee Lomax.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, so now we're going to begin the regular session of our board meeting, and we will start with public comments. Just so the public knows, our public comment was the same as it normally is, except the time was extended to be closer to our board meeting because it was a special board meeting with only 24-hour notice. As of now, there were 13 emails that were submitted as part of the public comment process. You may have written an email to one or more board members, but if it didn't go through the public comment process, it doesn't become a permanent part of the public record. And we have 6 requests for live speakers this evening. So I'm going to turn it over to Marianne and you will conduct the live speakers.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to provide your thoughts this evening. As always, the board will need to refrain from discussing your comments as you make them, but they are paying attention and they are listening and they do value your input. We have 6 requests for public live comment this evening. Each speaker will have 3 minutes. I will let you know when you can begin. I will give you a 30-second warning and I'll let you know when your time is up. I have a list of the individuals who put in an official request for live public comment this evening. I will call upon those people in the order that I have them. And if the person I call on is not able to speak, either because they may not be on the call yet or they're having some audio difficulty, I will come back to that person at the very end. If they're not there when I call their name a second time, they will then forfeit their opportunity to speak. Please remember that this meeting is streaming live and we do have students that attend and watch our sessions. So please keep language as respectful as possible. Our first speaker this evening will be Dan Nelson. And if each person can also state how they are associated with VUSD, give me just a moment. This is going to take a little longer to get folks up and running here simply because we have more people than usual in this area. Okay, Mr. Nelson, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Wonderful. You have 3 minutes and I'll give you a 30-second warning. Go ahead.
Great. My name is Dan Nelson. I'm currently the president of the Ventura Unified Education Association. This is my 21st year teaching in Ventura Unified School District, and I started at Ventura Unified as a kindergartner in 1972. So there. I'll be quick on a Sunday night. I'm just here to say thanks again. First off, I want to thank to the Nordhoff Vaccine Center for all the people that they got vaccinated, including me on a Friday. 2nd dose, doing well, no side effects. So I encourage you, if you haven't yet, run out, don't walk, run to get your next vaccine. Also, big thanks to the city of Ventura. Thank you, people. It has been a long year, and yet our numbers are down and we're moving in the right direction because community spread has lower and lower and lower. It's never going to be where it needs to be, I suppose, but it's so much lower. We can now be more comfortable opening schools and getting kids back where they belong, which is right in the classroom. So we've got a holiday coming up, Easter It's just around the corner and it's a great time to get together with your family, but please be safe. Please, we need to keep these numbers down so we can reopen safely. I really want to thank the Ventura Unified administration team and their negotiations team. It was a long, hard slog to get negotiations done, but it remained respectful and we heard each other, and there's a lot of concerns. We ratified yesterday at 6 o'clock, which is great, but we ratified with a lot of concerns, and now the hard work of, yeah, we're going to do it and we're happy to do it. And we're looking forward to getting kids back. Elementary's been back and we can't wait to get secondary. However, there's still some worries that we're going to iron out. So I trust and believe Ventura Unified when they say they're willing partners. They always have been. We've always been able to work together to make things as safe as possible and give the kids the very best education that they deserve. Finally, hey, Ventura, it's back to school time. So if you've been putting off your back to school shopping, don't put it off any longer. It's time. Start buying clothes that fit. Start getting lunch boxes and notebook paper and all the other cool stuff you're going to need. So it's weird to do back to school in March, but here we go. If I have any time left, I'd like to cede it to Sebastien DeClerck. But other than that, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and promote you to panelists now. Go. Mr. Ramos, there was 57 seconds left. Can that then go to Mr. DeClerck, who's our next speaker?
Actually, no, we have a board policy that indicates that no one can cede their minutes to anybody, so everyone will get their allotted 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. Mr. DeClerck, you are up next. Just give me 1 second here to find you virtually. There you are. Are you there?
I am here.
Great. You've got 3 minutes and I'll let you know when you've got a 30-second warning. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. My name is Sebastien DeClerck and I'm a teacher at Ventura High School. When we return under the proposed schedule, of the students returning to in-person learning in my classroom, 30% will be students of color. Of those remaining fully online for my class, 70% will be students of color. The average grade for the students I serve who will return to campus is 15% higher than the grades of the students who are not returning to campus. The disparity between the students who are returning and those who are remaining in distance learning already exists, and the new schedule negligently aggravates the problem, perpetuating yet again a systematic racism that underserves our unprivileged students. The proposed schedule underserves students who have rightfully and out of necessity selected to remain online, and that group, in addition to representing about 1/2 of our entire secondary student body, is grossly and disproportionately made up of historically oppressed populations. I do not believe that the proposed schedule serves the future of all students. I believe it serves the future of the privileged. I feel that we have caved to the pressures of social media and individuals seeking to preserve that privilege. The current schedule does not allow for the time necessary to run and create an effective online classroom. This has been acknowledged by the district's absolution of the requirement that teachers maintain curriculum on campus. That means that about 1/2 of our high school students will be learning in an underdeveloped online environment. Racism, inequality, injustice against people of color persist not because there are isolated groups of extremists, but because groups and institutions such as ours continue to act and make decisions without recognizing that those decisions, though well-intentioned, perpetuate cycles that protect privilege and discriminate against historically oppressed groups. While no one intends to discriminate, systems that continue to operate as they always have cannot help but do so. That is how racism persists. I'm not opposed to reopening. I want to reopen. I hesitated to discuss these numbers before the association vote because I didn't want to be seen as sabotaging its outcome. I stand by the vote, and I will, along with my colleagues, enthusiastically return to school. But I have to draw attention to the inadvertent social injustice that occurs with the adoption of this schedule. Many organizations have taken advantage of the opportunity the pandemic has provided to examine and begin to rectify the ill effects of systematic and institutional racism within themselves. And I'm afraid we may have let that opportunity pass. In our drive to return to normal, I fear that we will return to a normal that has always and now will continue to underserve our unprivileged students. I deeply hope that in the very near future, rather than to continue to set aside these difficult and uncomfortable issues, we can honestly make them our top priority. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeClerck. Next up is Miss Carol Peak. Just gonna find you here. There you are. Carol, are you there? Hello, Carol, are you there? Miss Peak, are you able to unmute?
How about now? Do you hear me?
Now I can, so go ahead. You've got 3 minutes and I'll give you a 30-second warning.
Thank you. Good evening, Board President Lomax, Board Trustees, and Dr. Rice. My name is Carol Peak. I am a campus supervisor at Buena High School, and I'm also honored to be the president of the Ventura Education Support Professionals Association. My reason for speaking tonight is simple. I'm here to remind the board, the district, and the community of the hard work and the dedication of the ESPs. In a way, we're lucky because we were able to keep Ventura Unified running through the pandemic. For the last year, we've been at work, regardless of the risks, keeping the district open and operating. We have done what we've been asked, even if it was beyond what we normally do. When kids were fed, that was VESPA. When you needed technology help, that was VESPA. When you had questions for the call center, again, that was VESPA. When anything and everything needs to be sanitized, that's VESPA. When kids run and play during recess and playgrounds are maintained and kept safe, again, by VESPA. Keeping the HVAC running to make sure the classrooms are ventilated is VESPA. And our early education teachers and our paraeducators that are there to support the students across the district, that's VESPA. When kids need to ride the bus, guess what? That's VESPA too. I can go on and on with all the job duties that all the ESPs do. We are the frontline workers of VUSD. We are the first face they see when the kids get to school and the last face before they go home. You have seen us shine, and we will continue to do so because we love our students. We deserve to be recognized, and we deserve to be appreciated. We are essential because we are VESPA. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Peak. I'm going to go ahead and promote you to panelist.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is Miss Tanya probably Bailey. 1 minute, let me find you here. I'm going to assume it's Mrs. Bailey, so I'm going to unmute. Is this Mrs. Tanya Bailey?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, you have 3 minutes and I'll give you a 30-second warning. Go ahead.
Alrighty. Thank you, school board members, for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Tonya Bailey. I've been a teacher with Ventura Unified for 30 years. I'm here to speak tonight regarding the Memorandum of Understanding dated March 24th, 2021 that has been presented tonight for your approval. You should all have received a copy of my letter that I presented for public written comment. The MOU that has been presented to you has a huge inequity between the compensation for hybrid teachers and distance learning teachers. These are unprecedented times. We are all working extremely hard, whether we are hybrid or DL, the workload is intense. One no more than the other, just different. Both groups have the same responsibilities to educate the students in our care the best that we can. The MOU proposes a $600 per month for 5-month stipend for hybrid teachers, a $600 one-time stipend for elementary DL teachers, and a $500 stipend for 2 months for secondary teachers. Ultimately, if approved, hybrid members would receive $3,000. Secondary members would receive $1,000, and DL elementary members would receive $600. This is unacceptable. We are a unified school district. We all have the same responsibilities, and that is to educate our students, whether in person or DL. And in many cases, DL was not a choice. It was either for medical reasons or assigned. I implore you to send this MOU back to the negotiating team and demand that they compensate all teachers equally for the incredible work we are doing. Tell them that you understand and value the effort that all of the USD teachers have put into educating our students during these challenging times. Thank you for the opportunity to be heard.
Thank you very much. 1 second here. Okay, the next up is, I believe it's Elsa Schmidt. I'm gonna try and find you here. There you are. Are you there? Hello?
Can you hear me?
I can. You've got 3 minutes and I'll give you a 30-second warning. Go ahead.
All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Elsa. I am a senior in VUSD, and I would like to voice my opposition as a student to reopening secondary schools for 5 days a week. I believe it is dangerous to our physical and mental health as students and has not fully considered or publicized transportation concerns. The justification for opening schools 5 days a week on the physical or COVID side seems to be that cases are down in Ventura. But what we've seen from this pandemic is that just because they're down at the moment does not mean that they will still be down in 2 to 4 weeks as hybrid rolls out. Based on how we've seen college and high school students disregarding restrictions on their spring breaks across the country, we can expect a case rise when we return from our VUSD spring break. Scientists have found that while young adults typically experience fewer symptoms from the virus, they are still contracting it at school and are infecting their families at home. The more days packed in a classroom, the more likely this is to happen. Another driver of this plan has been protecting mental health. This has been a real problem in the pandemic. Believe me, I know. I'm a senior and I wish I could have spent my final year with my friends on campus, learning together in a classroom and graduating like any other cohort. But rushing through this resolution is not going to make up for that. Not for me, not for the other seniors, and not for the 6th through 11th graders. Because while in-person learning will put us in the same room, it will not be the same as social contact. This plan cannot allow us to work closely in a group with friends, and it cannot allow us to make normal connections outside of class. This plan may not even give us better educational experiences because the more students in a classroom, the more precautious and anxious we become. Students will be wearing masks for around 5 hours every day, 3 feet from their neighbors, which is about the same distance we sit in a normal year, in a room with minimal air circulation. I believe that after a year of no contact, we need more than 2 weeks to ease into a full reopening for our mental and physical health. If 40% of Foothill students and 50% of Buena students don't want to return to school for 2 days every week, it's unlikely that they'll want to come back for 5. Finally, I hope that in this meeting we can cover busing concerns. In middle school, I rode the bus to and from school every day. Most years we were 3 to a seat and falling into the aisles. A lot of students in our district depend on this transportation to reach school, and if CDC guidelines are followed, buses cannot be as full as in a standard year. If transportation issues are not addressed, we are preventing a large percentage of students from accessing in-person learning, which partially defeats the purpose of reopening schools for all students every day. For the safety of students, teachers, and families, please do not rush this proposal or its execution. Thank you for considering my thoughts and allowing me to speak my mind.
Ms. Schmidt, I think I speak on behalf of everyone. Thank you very much for providing your input this evening. We really appreciate hearing from our students. Thank you. Next up will be Colton Imming. I just need to find you here. Give me 1 second. And this will be our last public comment of the evening.
Hi, Marianne, can you hear me?
Now I can. Hi there. You've got 3 minutes and I'll give you a 30-second warning. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so thank you all for your time. My name is Colton Imming. I'm a VUSD parent and a representative of the Ventura Parent Association, which was formed to advocate as a voice for students and parents in our district. In line with that mission, I'm speaking today because the parents of elementary students who originally enrolled in distance learning for this school year do not feel their voices are being heard. I first want to make it clear my comment is not about teacher or student safety. The direction from the state and the courts, supported by science, has stated that it is safe for teachers and students to return to full-time in-person learning. That said, we strongly believe that the majority, if not the overwhelming majority, of elementary school parents on distance learning want to return to in-person learning with their teacher. Our conviction in this stems from a poll we conducted and from the sheer volume of parents we have listened to. The problem is that it was deemed, without formally polling the parents first, that students who choose to return from distance learning to full-time in-person learning will not get to keep their teacher. That is a wildly unfair starting point if the majority of these parents want their children to return to school. If the majority want to remain on distance learning, then it makes sense for the teacher to remain distance. The point is, why would such a far-reaching declaration be made before knowing parent preferences? So much has changed since these parents elected distance learning in October. So please, poll these parents and give them a voice. It is the rational and equitable thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. One second here. And at this point, that is all that we have in terms of live public comments. For those that submitted a written public comment, as stated in our message on our agenda, on our website, an email home to families, and on our social media platforms, because we are offering live public comment, all written public comments will be shared with the board before the meeting and will be added to our minutes, but will not be read or summarized during this meeting. Thank you, and President Lomax, back to you.
Thank you very much. Good job as always, Marianne. So now we will go to our one conference agenda item that does require action. So the Ventura Unified School District and Ventura Unified Education Association Memorandum of Understanding with action requested. And I believe that Miss Rebecca Chandler is going to take this.
Thank you. Good evening, President Lomax and fellow trustees and Dr. Rice. I'm going to give you a summary of the tentative agreement that we came to. So with schedules, the elementary will be back to 5 days a week starting on after the break, after April 12th. And this will be with 4 full days and then 1 half day. The reduction comes, there's a little bit of a reduction at the end of the day, which is a reduced recess time in the afternoon, but the instructional minutes are the same as pre-COVID. In the secondary schedule, it is going to be, we will start in with a 2-week period where A and B are separated. And then after 2 weeks, so it's going to start on April 12th with the A, B separate. And then on April 26th, it would come in with A and B together through the end of the year. And this will be a 5-day schedule with a half day on Wednesday. And the schedules are posted on the website and also in the TA for your viewing pleasure. We went through a series of negotiations. I probably should have started with this, but I was a little down on my page. I'm sorry. We had 4 sessions. They were quite challenging at first, but then the teams came together, and I am very proud of the teams and the compromises we made for the benefit of our students. We came together through all of this. So in addition, in the TA, we will have various stipends, which we heard a little bit about. One is the distance learning teacher stipend, which is a one-time stipend to help with additional planning for the distance learning teachers. We'll have an elementary stipend for the 3 months that they were on hybrid already, and then the 2 months to come, and then the secondary stipend with 2 months in the secondary stipend. Another stipend that you would see in the TA is the dual modality stipend, which we heard teachers let us know that it's a lot of work to be teaching live and teach online. And the reason we did the dual modality stipend is because we believe that it would give them additional funds for the additional workload that they were taking on to have their teachers both, or to have their students both live in their classroom and online. And the total for all of these is about 1.9 million, which is 12% of our overall COVID funds. The COVID funds, we have multiple pots of money coming from both the federal and state. And this totals just under $40 million for us to spend within the next 2 years. And the remainder of the funds that we still have will go to things like learning loss and, sorry, my dog is jumping in, learning loss and and getting our kids the, getting the information that we, we're assessing all of our children when they come back so that we can make sure that we don't have any holes in their learning as we move forward. Overall, I think.
Okay, thank you very much.
President Lomax, if I could I just want to offer a quick correction for the benefit of the public. For the secondary schedules, the half day is on Friday, not on Wednesday. So I just wanted to make sure that was stated. There'll be a chance to maybe go over those later. But
thank you for correcting that, because I know we went back and forth between Wednesday and Friday, so it's good to state publicly that it will be on Friday.
Sorry, yes, that is true. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you. So I think what we'll do first is call for a motion, and then if there's any discussion, we will ask for discussion. So at this point, I will entertain a motion to approve the MOU as presented.
So moved. Second.
Was that Trustee Callahan?
Trustee Rodriguez.
Oh, I didn't hear who it was. Okay. Okay, so it's been moved and seconded that we approve the MOU between Ventura Unified and the VUEA as presented. We'll start with our normal order. Dr. Dannenberg, do you have any discussion or questions?
Just, I know that it's not perfect. Nothing ever is, but I think in a good faith effort with the association, we're moving forward. And so therefore I'm in support of the agreement.
Trustee Callahan?
Thank you. I actually have a lot of kind of comments and questions, and I appreciate all of the ones that I have already had answered. So I don't know if you want me to ask them now or kind of wait to come back to. Do you want me to leave my?
Oh, it's your turn.
Okay. So I appreciate, thank you, Ms. Chandler, for all of the information and sharing that. Overall, in total, I understand, and thank you for the information that you shared with me, that from our federal allocation from the ESSR, the GEAR, the CRSA, and the ARPA, that we had our 1.5% bonus of 1.7 million came from this funding source and allocation. I also understand that our CARES former money, kind of what people are referring to, and we have even on these board meetings as our old CARES, that we had 1.5 million in salaries for both classified and teachers. Furthermore, in this MOU, it is just for our VUEA, as we know, that we're here today for the tentative agreement that's estimated at 1.9 million. And again, 12 million. Thank you so much, Ms. Chandler, for your excellent job sharing all these different funding sources. As you had shared, it's one-time funding that is looking to be allocated in a 2-year time period. Some are different time periods, but overall in a 2-year time period. And so I share this because total to date, not including anything that we have maybe coming down the road, and or specifically VESPA will be our next agreement that we'll be looking at and supporting for our education service providers, but we're looking at $5.1 million. And so I just want to share that I understand it's a very large allocation of money, but we also have a pandemic that none of us have ever been through. We also don't quite know, I understand, in our in-person, or correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Chandler, in our expanded learning, our ELO grants, correct? We need to be making some sort of plan that we have already received. Thank you so much. Dr. Rice and the team has been literally giving us information when it is hot off the presses. So our template is no longer for this plan of that money that we're estimating about 16 million, 15.9, half coming in May of 2021 and half in August of 2021. Thank you again, Ms. Chandler, for your excellent information. We have a plan that originally we thought the template would be coming out in May. Now it is coming out already here as of Friday. It's due by June 1. just like our LCAP and parity, we're looking for stakeholder feedback and input on this plan. And so we're looking at taking that 1.9 million that's in this MOU for a plan as referenced a little bit, right? A little bit with what Mr. Imming has shared, that we are already allocating this funding. Although there is quite a bit, we don't quite know what we may need it, nor have we gone through the process to have an MOU, I'm sorry, not an MOU, have the template, have the stakeholder information to complete this plan. I feel that absolutely we need to have our students back. I have allocated and shared that numerous times, including our last board meeting. I shared for a future agenda item, but I know that, none of us knew that how quickly a Wednesday to a Friday to a Saturday, we were going to turn the 4-foot rule to the 3-foot rule. So here we are. I have never seen an organization and policy turn on a dime as quickly as Ventura Unified has. So thank you so much to our administrative staff for the information in order for us, because at the end of the day, it's our decision as a governing board. This is our meeting, and really quite honestly, any lawsuits that come pending, which we don't know what the future will hold, will be against the governing board for decisions, for making sure that we are providing to the fullest extent of the law, getting the greatest extent possible in the earliest practicable time to get all students back in person. Distance learning has always been, is not the preferred method. In person has always been the preferred method. The science, all of the pieces about distancing, all the things from even California OSHA, all of those pieces are now gone. They're moot issues. And really, if we look at this MOU, I'm also learning from different organizations. Thank you so much. And we do have a Ventura chapter, along with, if you look on their website for the Parent Association, all San Diego, which are in the lawsuit, have all San Diego districts that are the defendants. We're going to have to defend. It's really going to be on us as a school board to share how we are not getting our students back into the classroom to the fullest extent. The most and the quickest for in-person, with the exception of students that are have a medical condition, and or if and when our local county health authority has shared that this is not permitted, which we know is, again, a moot point.
Trustee Callahan, I don't want to interrupt you, but I'm just asking, and I'm not sure. Is this on point of accepting the MOU? Can I have a ruling from someone? Anthony, possibly? I just want to make sure we're not getting off to get ourselves in any trouble.
The issue would be whether or not the board would like to, it's within the purview of the agreement. Ms. Callahan is bringing up points regarding funding, which we spoke about. What I would do is, if the board would like, and if Ms. Callahan would like, to have a discussion about all the different funds, all the different the lawsuit that's going on in San Diego, and all the different implications that may be better for a future board item, just considering that that is not particularly or specifically agendized for this meeting.
That's what I was worried about. So I just want to be very careful that we don't violate anything here. So continue.
Discussing the MOU is not in compliance. The MOU for school reopening is not in compliance with discussing school reopening.
The MOU, what the vote is that we accept the MOU as presented. And I'm wanting to make sure that when you started talking about funding and things, that was above what was in the MOU, and we can have that discussion at another time. I just don't want to get us in any trouble here.
I understand, but you are President Lomax, pardon, you did also ask if there was any interest or any comments.
Okay, go ahead, finish.
As a trustee, I have the right to share my comments and concerns.
Okay, continue.
And for studying of the season. However, I do listen to our legal counsel, Anthony Ramos, but I did want to share, here is some facts to be considering in accepting this MOU. And let me just get to the point directly to the agendized item. An MOU is not, we do not have, it is not legally binding. So if I am to make a vote right now, we will be allocating $1.9 million of funding that is tied to this MOU before we have a chance, A, to have parent feedback, and B, to be discussing the template and stakeholder feedback and approval come June 1, where it's going to be due, and it will be an agendized item. I also know that there is legal action. We will hear a hearing as of April 1st. That will come out for the lawsuit. And I share this because an MOU and the negotiations of that MOU is something that people are discussing, and it is utilizing our allocated funds for school reopening and our in-person focus.
Can I make a comment, Trustee?
Yes, absolutely.
So I would say the money that this is coming from is our in-person funding money, right? So the purpose of this money is to get kids back in school as soon as possible. And that's exactly what we're doing with this MOU, is getting our kids to return to the maximum extent possible. So I would just beg to say that this is exactly what the money was pushed out through legislation for, and exactly what we're doing with the tentative agreement today.
And I appreciate that. I do want to share, though, that we have heard a lot of feedback, and I think probably all of us on this call, and we had public comment, where there are situations where there are families who want to come back. They want to come back in person. And maybe this is something, again, President Lomax and governing board, that we can look at a future item. They want to come back. They're being told to be on a waiting list, and that it is their constitutional right to have a public education in person. We don't have.
Madam President, if I may, now we are going beyond the specific scope of the MOU of the agenda item. Just to clarify, the memorandum of understanding is to address the issue of the schedules and the social distancing issues. The MOU clarifies that social distancing, the 6, 4, or 3 feet is no longer in our MOU. It is, we will be following the CDC, CDPH, and VCPH guidelines with no social distancing. As everybody knows, we've been pivoting here, pivoting left, pivoting right as a result of changes in guidance from these organizations. So it was understood by and agreed upon by both the district and the association to go ahead and just merely reference that we would follow the CDC guidance, the VCPH guidance, and the CDPH guidance. As far as the other issue, which was scheduling, that is merely for us to be able to negotiate our obligation for impacts and effects of going back to in-person learning. So I just want to make sure that we stick to those particular issues, and all the other issues there, they're not that that the board cannot address them. I just believe we need to focus it back to what the MOU is about, Madam President.
Thank you.
I guess and maybe this is because I'm new, I just don't understand how the in-person or the expanded learning opportunity grants and the money that we're allocating and that is tied to the MOU, that's where that pot of money is coming from, how that does not connect. So
maybe I can jump in, Trustee Callahan, and just share that it has been a fairly common thing that the two pots of money, the learning loss mitigation funds and the return to in-person learning funds, have been commonly referred to in one lump sum, but really what we have is what we think will be in the neighborhood of $5 million that will be coming to the district for the in-person learning. And that's the money that we'll be using to pay for the MOU. So that's right on point. The other pot of money, which is roughly going to be about 10 million, that's the pot of money that you were alluding to earlier when you mentioned the need for us to have a plan. And we will certainly have a plan. So this MOU is not jumping the gun and spending money from the pot that we are required to do a plan from. It's coming from the smaller pot that's intended just for returning to school. So we still have that plan. We still have to have stakeholder engagement. None of that money has been allocated, and it's still open for the kind of work that I know you're really passionate about.
Thank you, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate. Thank you with our legal counsel, Anthony Ramos. I do negate the fact that my comment as a governing board member and trustee is not on point with this agenda item when we're talking about allocating funds that are be taking for the purpose that is included in this MOU. We can take that offline. However, I just wanted to make sure that also and I know you guys have studied, I know we have all been turning on a dime. Decisions are coming out left and right. We have been tracking from the city of San Francisco, literally trying to force the doors open of the school district, right? We're not that district. Ventura is unique. Ventura is special. But I am wondering if by April 1st, we are going to have, yes, a very flexible, not an injunction, but basically we're going to have to do this anyways. It's the law. It's constitutional. We are expected to provide an in-person education for all students. So my piece here as being a fiscal steward of our funding is, are we a few days premature? Is this something that basically, if we're to give a 1.5, as we have already done with our old CARES money, is this something that we even need to be doing? And so as we shared, this MOU on the agenda item is in its entirety. So I just wanted to be able to share my comments, to share my areas for when my vote does come up. I don't have any other questions. Dr. Rice, I appreciate that clarification because I do feel like I keep mixing that up. But nevertheless, we still have shared with our teachers and classified 5.1 million. And we still need to be negotiating and supporting our ESPs. That contract is not done. So this is not the end of that funding. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Callahan. I just want to make sure that you understand that I would never censure anyone, but it's my job as a board president to make sure that we don't cross a line. That's why I asked for advice from our legal counsel. But thank you very much for sharing your thoughts. Trustee Rodriguez.
Yeah, so I would just say, I certainly have my concerns about scheduling issues and some of how that will impact both staff and students. But I think what we've learned through this process is nothing is done until kids show up, and even then it's not done, right? So I trust staff to continue to evolve and adapt to what shows up, because I know there are kids who want to be back on campus who may right now not have the perfect option, and we have students who are looking at how to make this distance learning thing work in a way that works for their family schedule. I agree with Dr. Danberg. It isn't perfect, but I think it's a darn good first effort, and I like I said, trust staff to make it better as we go along.
Thank you. Vice President Alvarez.
Yeah, I agree also that with Dr. Danberg and Trustee Rodriguez, that it's not perfect, and the staff's worked very hard to put this together. We've had real tough negotiations, and we've always had a great rapport with our union. So we wanted to make sure that we're making sure we have the right movement forward, and it's time for us to move forward and be back in the classroom. I know staff will continue to work to make things better. I know Dr. Rice he advised for schools to put waiting lists so we could find spots for their students. It's not going to be perfect. We're very close to the end of the year already. You might see a different teacher if you were on distance learning and your teacher's not back in the classroom, but we're going to get back in the classroom with the best we can get. We're going to work hard on this, but we need this MOU approved before we start hiring additional teachers. I mean, this has to be approved first. So this is the first step of many more steps for our fall opening to be the way we really want it to be. So I applaud everybody who worked very hard to get this done, and let's move forward.
Thank you. And I'm last to comment. I really appreciate all the hard work. And I agree, by no means are we done. This isn't a cut and one deal. It's a way to get us started, get kids back in. And as things unfold, I think one thing we've proven a couple things over the last year and a half, or seems like 10 years now, but however long it's been, a little bit over a year. And one is that we can't make everyone happy, period. That's just a given. And I'm the type of person that wants to make everyone happy. And so it's doubly frustrating for me, but we can't make everyone happy. But what we can do is listen to everyone and try to make the options available for families. And so this is a beginning, and we will continue to listen. And if things arise and we're able to make some changes or go back to the table and amend the MOU in a certain way for teacher learning, we'll have to do that. But let's take that as it comes and take one step at a time. I see that Dr. Dannenberg has his hand up.
Yes, I just have a point of clarification, maybe for our attorney. Trustee Callahan said that the MOU is not legally binding. I've never heard that before. I always thought they were legally binding on us.
Without more, I would need more information as to determine why it is not, but it is legally binding. We negotiated in good faith with the union, and we followed all the proper procedures.
It's a good clarification. Thank you, Dr. Dannenberg. Without any further, I don't see any other hands up, then I will call for the vote. And the vote is a move by Dr. Dannenberg, and I believe seconded by Trustee Rodriguez, that we will approve the Ventura Unified School District Memorandum of Understanding with the VUEA. So, Ms. Dawn.
Thank you. Trustee Dannenberg?
Yes.
Trustee Callahan?
No.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Oops, sorry, was muted. Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Alvarez?
Yes.
Trustee Lomax?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 4-1.
Okay, I thank you very much for all of you, particularly giving up your Sunday evening. I know this wasn't easy. I know, thank you, Trustee Callahan, for voting the way your conscience. And we appreciate that. And we know we have work coming ahead of us. But for now, the MOU has been approved. And is there any closing comments, Dr. Rice?
Yeah, just briefly, I want to take a minute to thank Ms. Chandler, Mr. Ramos, and all of the members of the bargaining team for the Ventura Unified School District. I know they worked extremely hard to try to work solutions that were win-win for as many people as possible. I think the comment was made many times this evening that you can't make everybody happy, and that certainly is the case, but I really appreciate the work of the bargaining team. I also want to thank Dan Nelson and his team for sticking in there with us when things looked tough and we needed to double down and work a little harder to reach the agreement. So Mr. Nelson, thank you. I was especially glad to hear that you made it through your second dose with no effects, because I'm sitting here with a fever and lightheaded because I had mine yesterday and it wasn't so nice for me. And also, Carol, I appreciate all the educational service providers, the support providers, all the work that they do. I listened to your speech very carefully, and I thought it was one of the best I've heard in a long time. So we'll work things through with you as well, and I look forward to that. So I appreciate everybody's time and work to put the agreement together. So thank you.
Thank you. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Vote as follows. Trustee Dannenberg?
Yes.
Trustee Callahan?
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Alvarez?
Yes, and Marianne Kiros has her hand raised. I don't know.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Just wanted to let everyone that's watching and all those that will hear beyond that communications will go out later tomorrow night. We have to put these schedules together in a way that are readable. And in addition to that, tonight's replay will be up in the morning, but please give us some time, quite frankly, me some time to get all of that ready for you all. And we'll get that out later tomorrow. I too had the vaccine and it took me out for a day. So I just need to play a little catch up. Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't see your hand up. I apologize. I'm gonna look to make sure before I make the final vote to adjourn. I see no more hands up. We're good? Yes.
Yes, thank you. Motion carries 5-0. Good night.
Good night, everyone. Thank you very much.